ICOPLAN, the new PPM solution on the Power Platform within Microsoft 365. What a title! What a title! So I'll take you through a slide deck, a short slide deck, and then I'll show you ICOPLAN itself, and go from there really. So we'll do introductions, a bit of a history for those who haven't been to one of these sessions before, and then we'll do a baseline kind of understanding and foundation of the Power Platform itself, and then we'll go into ICOPLAN as it stands today and what it is, and then we'll go into the demo, I guess, at the end of the session, and open for questions throughout this session as well. Just a bit of housekeeping. I can see you all on mute, which is brilliant. Thank you for that. And yeah, but if you want to ask a question, please do come off mute and just interrupt me, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys ask. So let's jump into it. Introduction. So a bit about me. So my background is project portfolio management through and through, really. I started off in my first PMO role was in Geocoming Rushwater, and then I went over to Lloyds Banking Group, and then I spent 5 years in Babcock International Group then, and ended up as the head of projects and governance. So yeah, all the way through that kind of 10-year period, I was a project program portfolio manager, resources, building PMO functions. And then I stepped out into Companies House then. So I was a consultant. Icotec's first customer per se was Companies House, but me individually as a consultant to help them head up their P3 transformation program office, which is really, really good. So that's just a bit of a plotted history about me and Icotec. Icotec today now is growing to have customers like Bays, ONS, ACAS, and IPO as well. So predominantly in the public sector, but we do have customers in the private sector as well. And we have no preference. I guess it's just naturally, organically, these are some of our most longest serving customers, I guess. So our approach, I think, is different. We pride ourselves on delivering value at pace. We really work to build the best tools and the best systems to meet the objectives of the organizations we're working with. And sometimes it's not a tool that's in Microsoft, and that's okay. But within Microsoft, we're obviously gold partners and specialists in that, and we like to push the boundaries all the time of those tools and systems that we're deploying. And we love a challenge. We love a technical challenge. We've even had one 5 minutes ago. Presented to us that we'd love to get involved in, and then we like to share that value then across. So if if we built a really cool tool, then we'll share that across our community, and we'll share that with you guys as well on these type of forums, which is really cool. We love research and innovating, as I said, as a part of that, and we always like collaboration and people. We're always focused on our culture internally, but also how we interact with our customers and our clients and our partners and Microsoft and the technology community here in South Wales as well. And we love sharing. I love doing these things, these webinars now. We're keeping up with our one a week, which is brilliant. It's a difficult challenge to get one webinar a week of valuable content, but we love sharing and showing people what's out there and what's available. There's one last week on robotic process automation. So go and check out our YouTube channel and see that one, because Chris did a good job of demonstrating RPA. And then networking, meeting new people. Every one of you today, it's brilliant to have you on these calls, but it's great to kind of touch base with you and interact with you, and just have a good outreach and a good network of people to work with. Icotec's offerings then, so we had to break down what we did. So we've got solutions which are custom solutions that we build using Microsoft 365. We've got products then which are predefined products, of which ICOPLAN is the first one. So ICOPLAN is a predefined project management solution that we'll come on to a bit more detail. We'll do it now, but so the products that will be available as SaaS products in the future. So they will develop, and as they get more mature, we'll put them on the app source, and you'll be able to download them and consume them on a per user basis. They're not quite there yet for that, but consulting then, so that's where we've got our consultants, transformational consultants, to do roadmaps, workshops. It's normally at the start of the journey when people are trying to understand, organizations trying to understand what they can achieve with 365. That's more where I go in, or Mitch will go in and start painting the picture, and working with customers to get them to a vision and a strategy. And then services is support, really. So we've got a lot of organizations that have got quite comprehensive tools, so we do offer them support and iteration services, and we're quite proud of that, actually. And it's working quite well, because you basically have a development team on tap that you can ask for through tickets, and we just do minor changes, and we're on hand 5 days a week at the moment, but 5 days a week on hand to be able to change or iterate on the services that we've built previously or that you've built. So as I mentioned, we're Microsoft Gold partners, but we really do specialize in Project and Project Online, Power Platform, Power Apps, Power BI, and Dynamics 365 as well. Of course, we've got capability in all the areas across Microsoft. Not maybe Azure and Logic Apps and things like that, and data centers. We won't get into that kind of stuff. But with the Microsoft 365 technology suite, that really on the screen summarizes what we specialize in. All right. So the next slide, set of slides here, is about just a baseline understanding of what the Power Platform is, and the reason is because IcoPlan is based on the top of the Power Platform, and it's part of that technology set. So I think it's really important just to understand how it's built and how it's consumed, I guess, and how it's used. The Power Platform consists of 4 products. So it's Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents as well. And it's all based on a common data service. It's actually called the Dataverse now, I think. But it's basically a set of tables and a database in a tenant in your Microsoft 365 tenant that you have available to you. So anybody using Microsoft 365 now has the common data service in the background. You just don't know it's there, and only certain services use it, such as Power BI, for example. AI builders, so we have the ability to build AI bots and kind of machine learning capability, and I really do think that we're not too far away from being able to predict the future of a risk, for example, at Icotech. So with being, imagine being able to put your risk into a system and then it tell you whether it's going to materialize or not. That would be pretty cool. So we're getting to the point where we have enough data, and enough knowledge and enough logic to be able to build those processes in AI, which is brilliant. Data connectors then, and I'll come on to that in a bit more detail later on, but we can connect to pretty much anything across cloud, and most things we can connect to using robotic process automation that's on legacy services as well. So I'm looking forward to the day that we say we can't connect or integrate with a system. I'd also be disappointed as well, I think, to be honest. But yeah, that's the benefit of the Power Platform. This slide I think, is just to say that it's all hosted on Azure for me, and it's just about connecting to 365, and it is part of Dynamics 365 in technicality. So Dynamics 365 user interface is what the Power Platform is today. And so therefore, if you used to use Dynamics 365, you have it's the same user interface, which I'll come on to show in a minute. But it's also a great way to think about it is a fringe application. So Power Platform allows us to build fringe apps along the outside of a big ERP solution like Dynamics 365, or build standalone applications like IcoPlan. All right. So there's lots of different types of apps out there. This is just a screenshot of what I mean by that. It's a Dynamics 365 capability. And it's a systematic approach. So, whether it's on a phone, whether it's on a tablet, or whether it's on a desktop computer, it looks, in theory, like that, like those screenshots there. I'll come on to show you IcoPlan, and you'll notice that IcoPlan looks very much like that in terms of its form factor, its buttonage, and its logic around the process. But that's a model-driven Power App there, and there's plenty of others, which I'll come on to explain in a minute. Connections. So yeah, on the previous slide, there was the connector. So we can connect to pretty much anything really, and that's just a screenshot of or an image of all the existing standard connectors that are available within Microsoft Power Automate, which is the service we use to connect to the Power Platform. So in theory, you can have a Twitter post that's posted online on Twitter about your company, and it could feed into the Dynamics CRM and say you've had an engagement from an audience member, Tom, and this person's not happy with the product they've bought from you. That could go into Dynamics 365 or the Power Platform, or IcoPlan in the future, and raise a risk or an issue around that activity, and a case that would be assigned, and you could take it through your journey or life cycle to resolve that complaint. Facebook posts are the same. You can automate Facebook posts. So maybe if you've closed the project, at the end you might want to post a Facebook post and say congratulations, you've all closed the project. That kind of stuff is possible with the Power Platform, IcoPlan, and Power Automate connectors. So it's pretty powerful stuff, really. There's a number of different types of apps. I just like to articulate this. There's Canvas apps, which are more a custom UI, custom form factor, and we can basically it's like starting with a blank canvas app, sorry. And then there's model-driven apps down the right-hand side, and that's all about the form factor, the systematic view, which is what IcoPlan is based on. And then there's portals. So portals is like having a website. Again, blank canvas, but it's an externally facing website. And it's done securely, and you can give kind of license keys and username and passwords, all that kind of good stuff as well. So if you want to communicate or engage with a community or user base outside of your 365 environment, then Portals is the best technology for that, and you could build a website to do that. So what is IcoPlan? Just a bit of a background then, and just a quick overview of Microsoft 365 in terms of project technology. These are the kind of options you've got in Microsoft 365 for project management tools. Obviously, you've got Excel to do Planner as well. We all know, hopefully, Planner and love it like I do. And then you've got Project Desktop, which is independent. It's a desktop application. It's an individual tool that you can create project plans and schedules. And then you've got Project Online. And Project Online is great for kind of resource management, enterprise resource prioritization, all that kind of good stuff, but it allows you to put Microsoft Project into a repository. So, that's one of our most popular tools is Project Online. And yeah, it's like SharePoint and Project on combined on steroids, basically. It's pretty mental what you could do with that service. But the latest kid on the block, as they say, is Project for the Web. And that is built on this Power Platform technology, and therefore it is very customizable. It's a lot more simplistic than Project Online in its current form, in IcoPlan's form, but it has the potential to be much more complex than Project Online and much more intrinsic and capable than Project Online. And we have a couple of instances now across public sector where our Project for the Web solutions have surpassed the capability of Project Online because we've built them to the specific requirement of the customer. So we're finding a lot more of our customers are going to Project for the Web now. And it's just pros and cons to both, really, as the right or wrong way. But the question is always asked of me, and I'm always having these conversations with customers and partners at the start of the journey is can I have both, and are they different? How are they different? And this diagram tries to explain why you can have both. Yeah, and effectively what it's saying is that Project Online is a service that connects to Project Desktop clients, but it's all connected to a Project for the Web. It's on the same service, effectively. This grey box is a service. And I don't know if you might have used Roadmaps, but Roadmaps is a pretty cool visualization tool as well. And it's all connected, all these green kind of dots of project service, basically. If I wanted to be really kind of complicated, you could add project operations over here, which is a new Dynamics 365 service, which is again on the project service. So if you're delivering projects, generating revenue from projects, and billing customers, then and that is your business. 100% of your business is doing that. Then you could use Dynamics project operations for that type of stuff. Or a mixture of all of them. We can combine, and we have got customers that have both. Pros and cons to that as well, of course. And then the Power Platform is basically the service that hosts Project for the Web and project operations as well, technically. But effectively, it's the underlying architecture that allows us to build the model-driven app that I'm going to show you today. And then the last tool, I apologize if this is too complicated or too much detail, but I think it's good to see it and understand that they all intertwine and interact, basically. But Power BI is the great tool we all know and love, hopefully, which is the data visualization service, which we can plug into pretty much anything. And we're starting to see now requirements coming through where we can surface little charts or little components of the Power BI facility into these apps rather than having a BI report per se. You can have a BI chart now in a model-driven app just to dynamically display some content, for example, which is pretty cool. But today what I'm going to show you is IcoPlan. So IcoPlan effectively is a model-driven app, right? It's not meant to be the best project management solution in the world. It's really just a very simplistic project management solution that is a great, almost, if you don't have a PMO or if you don't have a project portfolio, and you're just dabbling in 20, 30 projects, you don't have a business process that's predefined. You just know that you're going to be delivering projects in the future, and you've got, you need a tool to do it. IcoPlan is our vision for just here, have it for a small investment, and and just play with it. It's the start of the journey. It's not meant to be the refined product, and it's not meant to be the all singing, all dancing technology solutions. I just want to put that into context, really. And it's definitely not perfect, is the point. It's if I was using it in one use case, you'd want it configured in a different way. If customers, every customer uses it in a different way, is the point. But I'll show it to you nonetheless, because I think it's that's the reason for the call. So I just want to show you then. So Power Apps effectively is this portal here. Hopefully you can all still see my screen. But realistically, this is available in every 365 tenant you've got out there, and you can select from these apps here. This is IcoPlan. So IcoPlan is our version, our flavor of the simplistic parts of project management that we've pulled together into a solution that you can procure off us or utilize. But in this example, and one of the things that I used to do, and many of the customers and partners we work with, is all about having portfolios. So the portfolio, program, project hierarchy, and you can see that here on the left-hand side. We've just surfaced those. And again, I'll probably say this 3 or 4 times over the next 10, 15 minutes now, but I would apologize in advance. Like, this is totally customizable to every requirement. The idea here is it's a baseline, it's a starter for 10. In that sense, so it's not perfect at all, and you'll see that in here, in that we've just got a page here that we've surfaced and created where you can define what fields you want to be available on this form. All right, but this is effectively a construction portfolio. Okay, and then the idea, although bad example, the idea is that climate change is that you would link then all the projects, all the programs that relate to this portfolio. So in Power BI in the future, if you did that for 20, 30, 40 projects, we can then say what's the cost of the portfolio for climate change, for example, in this example. And this is a standard related. This is a kind of every related entity or record that's based on the portfolio as well. But you'll see here all these buttons. They're like it's all predefined for us. So this is all from Dynamics 365, and we can configure these tabs, add new tabs for portfolio risks or portfolio lessons or portfolio benefits. The benefit of the portfolio is £20 million investment, and this is how we're going to do it by building 3 programs and having projects underneath that. You can start to see, if you're a project practitioner, how this would work in that example environment. So I'm going to go down to the next level then, which is programs. So effectively, this is saying, give me all the programs across the organization that are managed in this system. All right. So you can surface different columns here as well. We can make these icons rather than the words, but trying to find an icon for your OGC risk framework where it's amber and green is quite hard. At the same time, how do you make an icon amber and green? But we are trying to make it look nice. But I guess you can surface any content on here as well. So any columns. But this is saying the program delivery manager is me for this one, and you can see the different types of views that we have just pre-configured really in the system. But on every deployment of IcoPlan, it's just we've got a kind of process whereby we outline every single field that you need, every single view that you need, and all the kind of the sections that you want to be surfaced, because as I said, no one system is exactly the same. So here, this is the program, and we're capturing data for this program here, either rolled up from the projects underneath it, or actually just at this level, at the program level. All right, so you have a business process flow that we can take the program through. And you can see this one's been through these stages already in a test environment here. And you can control this in any way you want to. If you want to have this as an automatic approval, then you can. And some of the clever stuff that we like to use is that we can dictate that this field is a mandatory here in business case, but isn't mandatory on this form. We all hate when you submit a form and it says, oh, you haven't filled out that mandatory field, and you're guessing the value to go in that field is super annoying. So having that ability to say, well, you don't have to put that field into the form now, but if you want to go from business case into competition, you have to, you need to, because I need it at that part of the process. And that's the great technology that Power Apps gives us to utilize in these use cases, really. So yeah, this is an evaluation. I mean, these things mean, I'll say it again, sorry, these things are different for every one of the customers that uses ICOplan. You know, it's just no one size fits all. The idea is that it's a framework that with a very little effort, we can give you a solution and a service that is pretty useful. And I think that's really why it's not available as a SaaS product yet, per se, full time from an app store, for example, is because we love and our customers love, and the people who use this love the fact that they can go, right, I kind of get it, but actually instead of summary, I want to say status report. And I don't want finance, Joel. I don't even want business case. You know, it's that kind of interactiveness that is liked about this tool at the moment. You know, not having to prescribe to the way that Monday.com does it, for example, which is, you know, one of the other kind of requests that we've had come through. So here are the projects then that are related to the program. So you know, you can see here we've just got a set of projects that are related. And you can do with that what you want. If you want to see all your projects for the program, if you're a program manager, you can go in there and see all your projects. All right. So these are all the projects then that are my active projects. They're assigned to me. I'm the project manager. But you could say, or give me all active projects as well. All right. So you know, you could play around with these views, you know, and create them to your heart's content, really. So we're going to go into this test project here, and again, all these fields are and forms are totally customizable to your requirements. But you can see here the tabs are different in this example, and also the stages are different as well. So we don't have competition. We can customize those, and you know, obviously do it in sprints if you want to. If you want to get to that level of detail, it would look quite messy with lots of them. But the idea is, you know, we can make it customizable to the requirement. So this is just a set of benefits, you know, so I can add a new benefit into this here, and we can prescribe what the form is, and you know, kind of go through a logic or a process here, and these tabs will become available as we step through the process in more detail in that example. So status reports, we always used to hate project status reports in Welsh Water back in the day. We used to do your Word document or your PowerPoint slide deck and PDF it on a Friday morning at 10 o'clock and send it off to your program manager or your sponsor, whoever. And it was out of date the next week at the portfolio board, and somebody would query what's wrong, and I'd be like, yeah, sorry, it's a Friday afternoon. We've all been there, but this, you know, effectively is your ability to add statuses of the project. That's the theory of the design behind the status report. Project information in this idea, in this concept, is all about static information. You just enter it once and you kind of leave it there, and then you've got your finance milestones as well. Yeah, and I guess that's kind of the payment schedules as well, and deliverables. One other use case we had was to have a set of deliverables with kind of baseline data in here as well, and costs associated to it. And we started in one of our customers. We started to talk about earned value and start tracking that in their kind of unique way, I guess, to their specific requirement. The one thing I will say, and it is a bit annoying at the moment, is that we've got a global issue with project, but we're nearing the completion of it at the moment. But every one of these schedules has a project plan associated to it. So what we could do is we could open up the project in project for the web, and it's really important to know that project for the web is just this element. You know, it's just this element here. All of the other services around the outside of that, all the other functionality around the outside of that plan is Power Platform. It's a Power App that we've built effectively. So it's just important to understand that. One of the things that we have done and we can do, but is a little bit of the challenge at the moment, is that in here, for example, we could have tasks, and then it would embed this schedule into this pane here. Unfortunately, I can't show you today. I was hoping that it would be fixed by now, but it's not. It will be fixed soon though. But what that allows you to do is to manage a schedule, right, for the project in the system itself, rather than having to open in project and stand out here, but or use it out here. But it's the same thing. It's exactly the same technology, the same services, the same features. It's just, you know, embedding it into that page makes the usability a bit easier. But yeah, this is the latest version of Microsoft Project, effectively on the cloud. And it's, if you've used Planner, you can see how it's kind of it looks and feels like Planner. We can add custom fields in here, text fields, dates, yes or no's. So I think the other day, I think it was, is it COVID related? You know, and as an example, and you can change that to yes, and that's how easy it is, and that's all stored in the CDS then. So if I want to go and create a Power BI report, which I'm not going to do today, unfortunately, because I don't have the technical capability, I have to bring Matt in for that one, to say I want to see all the tasks across the portfolio where they are COVID related. That's a half an hour job, super simple to go and do that, because it's just in the database, it's in the systems, and it's part of the CDS, and that's the benefit that we have, really. Tasks, we could do kind of baselines, we could do durations, percentage completes, all that kind of good stuff. And what I like about it is if you're used to Planner in that board sequence of events, you can use this here to drag and drop tasks across and make a right old mess of a project plan quite easily if you wanted to, but hopefully not. It's a great dynamic way of working and kind of interacting, especially if you're used to using Planner as a team, to be able to plan your projects in a more powerful tool in a similar user interface in a similar way is quite important, really. Timelines, I don't know if you've used Microsoft Project, depends, if you've used that tool before, but I always used to hate the Gantt chart. I think the Gantt chart is really ugly in Microsoft Project. In this one, it's just a bit more aesthetically pleasing, and you can interact with it here as well. So you can drag and drop these out if you wanted to delay them or whatever you need to do. So it's just a lot easier, I think, for me as a visual person to use this for actual planning. What happens here is, I've got to go and build something, then I've got to go and put the kitchen in, and then I've got to go and test the electrics or whatever it might be, and I can start scanning and moving these things out. It's a lot more interactive than doing it in the old-fashioned way in a Microsoft desktop project desktop schedule. Okay. But as I said, all that frame, the whole thing is usually embedded here in the task page, and it does look quite cool as well. So these workflows, again, you can simply, as going through to the next stage, like so, or we have another example where in order to go from application to delivery, this needs to be approved, and that would be an email off to the sponsor to go and approve that request, basically. All right, or decline it, or and then it would only go to delivery once that person has approved. You can even set it so it's a community of people. So it's got to be 5 of them, all 5 of them have got to approve it until it can go forward. Or, it's the first one gets there, that decision is taken as a decision of record. Okay. So that's the project system. We can bring in SharePoint. I think we had another demo recently for this service, and we had a SharePoint list requirement. So if you had like lessons, for example, you could bring in those lessons to the app, and we can summarize all that data in Power BI within the report, which I'll show you at the end of the demo. But the great thing about this service is that if you wanted to see all risks across the portfolio, it's as simple as seeing all risks, seeing and just creating these views and these filters. All issues or work packages. It's basically to show that you can do whatever you want here. You can surface lessons, whatever you capture in the projects or in the programs or the portfolios, you could capture or summarize or interrogate here. Some of the great features that I love about this stuff when I use Dynamics 365 is the import and export. So you can import dynamic worksheets, or actually export dynamic worksheets as well, which is really cool. So if you open it in Excel, it'll save it on your desktop, but you do some sort of crazy pivot table or something mental with it, you can press refresh and it just updates for you. That technology was in SharePoint, is now available. Well, it hasn't been available for a long time actually, but it's in Dynamics 365 and therefore it's in the Power Platform. So all that technology and capability, those usability things are brilliant for us. And if you have the capability of creating flows, you can simply create a flow that says, I can't do it, but the developer team here can do it. But if you have the capability and the patience to build a Power Automate flow, you can see here how you could create a flow to do something like create an email upon an action being created. And Microsoft can shout at me for using a demo environment. They are, and I'm not going to do that now. But you can see how you use Power Automate. This is a demo environment, so I don't technically have a license for that yet. But those are the type of usability things you can do here. Email links, you can show charts and show different pages and pivots. Oh god, that's an ugly chart, isn't it? But you can see if it was created you can see the types of data that you could pull out here and use the system to interrogate, rather than having to use Power BI, for example. Right? But if you did want to use Power BI, the idea here for ICOPlan is that we've just surfaced a Power BI report in this page that can connect to all the projects in ICOPlan, but all the projects across your existing systems as well, or even Excel spreadsheets we can link into it as well. No problem at all. So this is an example. We haven't done anything with this. This is a content pack that's available from Microsoft. Everybody wants to do something totally different with this dashboard, as you can imagine. But effectively what this is saying, it's got 11 projects that I'm managing at the moment. I'm not very good at project management because all of them are late. They're all kind of overdue tasks here. And this is the amount of hours that I've been assigned to these tasks, and this is how much have been remaining, and that's how much have been completed. 31 hours have been completed. So basically, according to the system, I've done nothing. But you can see how useful it would get when you start looking at this on the portfolio level. Give me all the projects that Mark's managing, for example, and they're the projects here. Okay. The timeline, and if you've seen any of our Power BI workshops, it's exactly the same principle, really, that you can configure this and customize it to your heart's content. Or should I say Matt and the team will. So resource, so all those resources are attributed to those tasks, and then we can bundle that together. And this is saying I've got 14 resources across my portfolio. Look at that. Funny enough, I've got the most effort remaining and the most effort assigned to me, probably because I use this tool the most in a demo form. But effectively, it's about can I assign or attribute activity or effort to my portfolio of resources. We could bring in Planner as well to it, which is quite cool. So you could bring in Planner and say, look, this person is the owner, therefore, let's concatenate Lauren's Planner board plus the project board itself. Resource assignment. So this is saying what Mark is actually working on. He's going to split the antimatter. Good luck to him. This is a new test task he's put in here. But you can see the types of data that we're pulling out of the system. Yeah. Tasks overview. So you want to see all the tasks, and these little icons are complete. Overdue. Or, it really is. We could change these. We could change the whole thing. 69 overdue tasks, but you can see that the powerfulness of it when you get it using it in your environment. And yeah, that's really it, to be honest. This is all centered around me. So this is a report that we use to say what I'm going to do this week. But you could do that in 3 or 4 different ways, of course, as you can with everything. So that's really it, to be honest, in terms of the demonstration. Are there any questions at the moment? Anybody got any questions on how it could or how it does do anything at the moment? It's all customizable, and it's kind of the purpose of it, really, and that's why I try to frame it at the start of the session to say, this isn't a refined product, this isn't a finished article. We say, look, have this. Obviously it's going to work for you. Obviously it's got to meet your specific requirements at the outset, but it's simple, and therefore we grow on it and we develop it over time with you. How you change it, configure it is relatively simple, as long as we understand your capabilities as a team plus ours. And we have some customers that say, look, guys, you go and configure the whole thing. We have some customers that say, look, we want to do Power BI because we've got Power BI capabilities, but can you guys do the model app side of things, and vice versa, Sam. So the point of it is it's super flexible and customizable, and that's what we love about this technology, really. Yeah, and exactly, that's a perfect example of a requirement that we get a lot, and it can do that absolutely, with a short amount of development work or configuration. I don't hate it with development; it makes it feel like people are coding, but with a small amount of what's the requirement, what exactly does it need to do? When does the alert come out, for example? Does it come out 5 days before or 5 days after it's late? Or does it come out on the day it's late? There's all those kind of functional requirements that go into that, and then we configure it quickly and package it and deploy it. So that's why we could. There are hundreds of things that we can do to this app as a baseline, that I would do if I was in my last corporate world job in Babcock, for example. It would just be totally different. It'd be on it's do everything, all those type of things. But the idea here is that we're not trying to do everything. We're just trying to do the bare bones so that you can use it for a couple of months and then start capturing those requirements, like that, for example, like a delivery notification or alert notification, and then we can iterate on that thereafter. Just to give you an idea of the kind of how you change these type of data services, if you want to have a go, there are some videos on YouTube from us of how to do it, but effectively it's if you're used to using SharePoint, it's a great step forward. I won't say it's simple because that's not true. I mean, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't simple, but effectively, you can, if you understand systems and logic and how it works, you could have a go at changing some of these services. So effectively, all these are entities, they're tables, and these are the fields that are created, just like SharePoint, where you have data types in these fields. You can create a new field, or they call it column now. Bloody typical, changing the name all the time, Microsoft. But you could create a column. It's going to shout at me probably in a bit. But you can create all these columns here: currencies, choices, durations, whole numbers, URLs. This is just this what they call the simple configuration user interface. And then you can create your forms then. So you're creating your information card form or your main card form, and you're dragging and dropping fields into here. So if you've built a SharePoint list, like you will be able to build a page here. So and that's why we're giving it, giving this kind of out to everybody. Start for 10 and then go and configure it and change it if you want to, and if you have the capability to doing it. Or on the other side of the scale, we've got massive systems that are 100 times more complex than IcoPlan is currently in this example, but all using the same premise and technology. It depends on what your organization is using currently. For example, a lot of the organizations we work with are on Microsoft E5 for their security reasons. So for, like MDM management, all that kind of stuff. So if you're on E5, then you get Power BI included in E5. So Power BI is irrelevant there. But the license for for Project, let me be clear, it's a license for Microsoft Project, which is this service here, Project for the Web. I think is a plan 1, and I haven't been asked for a while, but I think it's £7.50 a month. As a standard per user, and that gives you the capability of IcoPlan in there as well. No, it's not. A project service is not included in E5. So, but you only need, excuse me, you only need that license for accessing, a project per se. Yeah, you could in theory have users on the system not using the project element, like maybe Portfolio, for example, that don't need it. Don't need that license. It's the project element of the system that needs that. But Paul, if you've got any kind of detailed questions, just drop them over to us on an email. I can answer them specific for you and give you kind of facts and figures on those numbers as well, because it is a bit complicated, as you could probably imagine if you've done your research on it. Power Automate also needs a license if you use premium connectors and premium services. But for the example that Ursula just sent through there or asked, was you wouldn't need a license for that. So there are tricks of the trade, I guess, in order to make sure we don't incur those license costs, and we can help in any way to do that. And also, all that is kind of eradicated. All of what I've just said is, if you're in the public sector, Paul, then licensing is just totally changed from Microsoft. I think they did have an offer from Microsoft of this technology was pounds a month, £2 a month, and for the plan license, but in the public sector. But it depends what organisation you're from, Paul, as well. So, sorry, I can't give you a clear cut answer, but I hope I helped a little bit.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Any other questions at all? I've just got to check the chat window. No, thank you for those questions, though. Of course. So, yeah, we will send your recording out, and we will, send the recording out, and it's also on YouTube as well. I forgot what service it's called. I can't remember. But yeah, that's it from me. Thank you very much for everybody who's attended. And questions, please do feel free to jump off mute and ask me. My email is joel.markham@icotechservices.co.uk. If you have any questions at all, anything comes to mind later on, please do feel free to drop me an email or connect with me on LinkedIn, and I can take you through it again or answer any specific questions that you may have at that time. So thanks very much for your time today. Much appreciated, and enjoy the rest of your days. Thank you so much.